What's going on, everybody? Matt here. So today I'm going to be talking about Tokyo Ghoul, but before I jump into the video, make sure to go down below and hit the subscribe button for more videos like this, more reactions, reviews, just anime content coming soon, so you won't want to miss out. Now let's jump into this review. So I've had about a week now to sit on Tokyo Ghoul after finishing it, and I gotta say, I'm really mixed on this anime. There were times where I really enjoyed it and I found it very entertaining, interesting. I just loved a lot of things I was watching. But then there were also times where I couldn't stand some of the things I was watching due to the different choices that were made, which I'll cover later in the review. But yeah, this anime really just got me thinking. I'm kind of mixed on it. To start on a more positive note, I thought the first season was pretty good and solid all around. I liked the world that was set up with the ghouls and CCG. I think the ghouls in general were a very interesting concept that was handled very well in the series. They are basically humans, but due to their lust of blood, they are deemed as creatures and not seen as humans. And the series does a good job exploring the portrayal of ghouls while also how they feel and how they try to fit in and just all that. And I think they do that very well. It reminds me of like vampire stories that I used to watch and read about when I was younger. I liked exploring the world that the ghouls live in as well, the different organizations, the way they went about surviving. I think the weapons of the Kaganes and Quinkeis were really interesting and used well in the series. The darker tone also helped with the messages that were presented as well as the arcs of the characters and just helped with like a lot of things happening in the story. While on the topic of characters, this is probably a good time to talk about the characters in the series because this is where one of my problems come in. First off, I gotta say, and I don't know if this is like a bold take or anything, but Ken Kaneki is possibly one of my favorite anime characters of all time. Yeah, I said it. His journey in this story is absolutely great. Seeing all these tragic events happen to him time after time, and then that fall into darkness just made it hurt to watch, but also made for such a great character. We get to explore everything from his denial of being a ghoul to the acceptance of what he is, to the finale where he realizes that this may have been the best thing to ever happen to him due to the people it brought in his life. And when you ignore everything else happening around him and just focus on Kaneki's story, just his story, not everything else going on, it is absolutely beautiful, and he is just such a well-crafted character. Now, aside from Kaneki, there are some other great characters, but one of my problems is that there were way too many characters in this anime. This prevented some characters that I thought were good from being great. There were some characters who were introduced and had little to no screen time, making their introduction feel rather pointless. I just wish that there weren't as many characters, so some of the characters that I thought could have been great could have had their moments to shine. But this isn't as much as a season 1 problem as it is more of a season 2 and 3 problem to me. So to finish my thoughts on season 1, overall it was a good season. It set up Kaneki's origin story very nicely as well as the world around him. My one criticism would be that it started off very hot, then cooled down in the middle a bit. There were some moments I didn't care too much about, but then it picked up at the end, having a solid finale. Now for seasons 2 and 3. I really wanted to love these two seasons and I did find enjoyment here and there with them, but overall they were just super messy to me. I already talked about the character problem I had with these two seasons, cramming in way too many characters. Another huge problem I did have was pacing. Season 2 picks up right after Season 1, then after that there were many moments where I found myself having to fill in many gaps. It moved through the story beats very quickly, not giving a clear sense of time and what actually happened during certain periods. It's almost like you would have to assume something happened in order to understand an event because the season does not do a good job explaining what is going on with the organizations and characters at times. And there were also times where things just felt like they were happening just because. I'm not saying that I need the show to tell me everything, but there was a lack of clarity in certain things due to the fast pace and movement from point to point very quickly. I just wish they would have slowed things down so we could spend more time with the characters to get a better sense of what is going on with both them and their world. Aside from the pacing and clarity problems I have with season 2, there were some great things that this season did. One, I liked whenever we dove deeper into the character of Kaneki. I wish at times we could have seen more of that character and his struggles in this season, but I did enjoy exploring his character even more. Mato's daughter was a nice surprise. Her character brought some life to the show, and she was a pretty great character all around. I like how she took on the role that her father left her, I guess you could say, and just how she continued his path, his journey. I liked learning more about Entaku, the coffee shop, and its members, and I did really like that final fight with them and the CCG. Mostly that conclusion with Kaneki walking with Hide's body. I thought that scene was absolutely beautiful and a nice conclusion to this season. I think season 2 had a lot more potential, and while I did find things to enjoy about it, it just fell short for me, and I wish they would have just stretched out the number of episodes so everything wasn't shoved into 12 episodes, making it a little hard to follow at times. And I think it just could have been handled better overall. Season 3, the most interesting of all of them. Again, this suffered hard from there being way too many characters to the point where it was annoying. It felt like they were introducing a new character every episode, trying to give them a backstory to make us care about them, only for them to have a very little role. Pacing again was a problem. It just blew through so many things way too quickly. The beginning of the season was also just a weird way to start things off, I felt. It picked up and just really gave us little to go off of, just throwing us into the world of the Quink Squad led by Sasaki, who is also, as we know, Kaneki. I think that the way that the season started off could have been handled a lot better, giving us a better explanation to everything going on. And I originally thought that after season 2 that things were going to be much different. I thought there was going to be more acceptance of ghouls after what happened in season 2 with Kaneki, which I guess there was an acceptance of ghouls, but not in the way I expected. As for the Quink Squad, I think it was actually a great idea. The only problem was that I found myself not caring too much about the squad members other than Sasaki and Yuri. Just nothing really stood out to me about the other squad members, sadly. I also felt that the first half of Tokyo Ghoul Re lost a lot of the charm that the previous 2 seasons had. It felt very distant from the other 2 seasons, but the second half of Tokyo Ghoul Re, episodes 13 to 24, were much better than the first half. Once Kaneki came back, as well as the other familiar faces, things started to pick up again. It was interesting to see what everybody has been up to in the years after the second season. The Kaneki and Toka moments were really good. I love seeing them come back together after so long. I do also want to mention the return of many familiar faces that were once believed to be dead. Amon coming back was something I liked. I think everything that happened to him after season 2 felt right for the story and for the character, and it worked well for me. Seido, I think I'm pronouncing that wrong, or probably am. I'm going to throw a picture on screen. Him coming back was very strange to me. I think that if they would have made it so that he died in the battle at the end of season 2, it would have just had much more of an impact rather than bringing him back as a new owl. It just didn't really work for me. Hide's return was rather shocking in a good way. I loved how in many ways it was him who brought everyone together, and I guess also Kaneki. It was sad to see what happened to Hide, but I loved how he was still so optimistic and not allowing his wounds to change the person he is. The villain group at the end felt very weak, but it wasn't really about them, rather it was about Kaneki. It was about him defeating the monster he created while also ending the conflict with Rize once and for all to be free of that pain. And I gotta say it again, as we witnessed throughout the series, becoming a ghoul was the best thing to happen to him. While it did bring him much pain, it also brought him so much joy in his life. He was able to be the person or one of the keys to bringing humans and ghouls together for them to live in harmony, and I loved how he acknowledged that this once believed curse was actually the opposite and not that at all. The final few minutes of the show were absolutely wonderful. I loved seeing how humans and ghouls were living in peace. It was great seeing how everyone grew up in their lives now. Then they leave you with the scene inside Kaneki's house, which was beautiful, seeing how happy his life is at the end of the series. Overall, Tokyo Ghoul is a good anime with its own flaws. For me, the series really suffered from pacing problems, a lack of clarity at times, and there are just way too many characters in the show. But there's also a lot to love and enjoy about the series. I know the manga is much better and explores many of the characters and events in further detail, but if I had to give the anime a rating right now, I'd give it a rating of around an 8, around that area, which is not a bad score at all. I just don't think I can go much higher than that. It's a great series that had so much interesting things going for it. Unfortunately, there was just some poor execution that I couldn't get past, but that's just my opinion. But that's Tokyo Ghoul for you. That's my review. Have you seen it? Let me know. Tell me in the comments what you think about this anime. Also, let me know if the manga is really as good as people say. I know that at times the anime branched away from the source material, so let me know in the comments if the manga handles many of the events better. That's it for me. Make sure to go down below and subscribe if you did enjoy more anime reviews, reactions, stuff coming soon. So you guys won't want to miss out. Make sure to hit the like button as well because it does help me. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.